IPC Sunday School Association Maharashtra online Sunday School classes for Class 3. Praise the Lord, children. Today we will learn lesson number 16, Daniel in the Lion's Den. Before we proceed, I would encourage you to read the Bible portion, Daniel 6. From this chapter, we will learn that we must trust Jesus, that He will save those who follow Him. No matter how bad the trouble, God has the power to save. We are followers of Christ. We must live lives with godly character. We are commanded to be lights in this world so that we can point others to God. And children, by heart the memory verse, Psalms 91 verse 13 and 14. You will tread upon the lion and the cobra. You will trample the great lion and the serpent. Because he loves me, says the Lord, I will rescue him. I will protect him, for he acknowledges my name. In the last chapter, we have studied about Shadrach, Meshach and Abednego, about their faith. And in that chapter, I have asked one question, that there was one more youth among the selected. And I told you to find it out in Daniel chapter 1 verse 6. I hope you have done. Yes, the answer was Daniel. Daniel was among the Jewish youths taken by Nebuchadnezzar, the Babylon king, as slaves from Jerusalem. When you go through Daniel 2, 3 and 4 and 5, you will come to know that Nebuchadnezzar did not obey the true living God. He did not fear the God. And he did many wrong things. Therefore, God punished him. And after his death, Belshazzar also followed his father, that is Nebuchadnezzar's paths. Belshazzar is Nebuchadnezzar's son. He also disobeyed God. And later on, in Daniel chapter 5, verse 30, we will come to know that Darius, the Median king, he took over the Babylon kingdom. Belshazzar was killed. Okay? So when the Medes and the Persian conquered the Babylon Empire, they extended their domain over almost all the Old Testament world. This is Daniel. Daniel worshipped the only true God. He prayed thrice a day and led a life as per the commandments. Here are some Daniel's qualities. He was God-fearing. He had the gift of divine visions. He could interpret dreams of others. In Daniel 2, 3, 4, when you read, you will come to know that Daniel interprets the dreams of Nebuchadnezzar. This is King Darius. King Darius took over the kingdom, that is the Babylon kingdom, at the age of 62. He appointed 120 princes to rule throughout the kingdom, with 3 administrators over them. And Daniel was one of those administrators. Because of Daniel's great wisdom, he was favorite of King Darius. Daniel given the place of authority over all the other princes. Only the king could tell Daniel what to do. So other princes were very jealous of Daniel. Because of Daniel's position with the kingdom, the prince were jealous of him, and they plotted to get rid of Daniel. If Daniel were out of the way, one of these princes would be put in his place. So, the prince started to spy on Daniel. They watched every move that Daniel made. They were hoping their leader would do something wrong so they could run and tell the king. But Daniel was a good man. Day after day, Daniel lived as the Lord would have him live. And the prince were greatly disappointed to find nothing wrong with Daniel's conduct. The evil man came with their evil plans. They came to know that they could trap him only in his worship. So the prince went as a group and influenced the king to proclaim an order that anybody who prayed to any other god other than king for the next 30 days will be thrown into the pit of lions. The king thought his subjects are praising him. He was very surprised. He thought that people want to show respect and love to him. He thought that they want to honor their king. King was pleased with their plans and he gave orders. The king signed their decree and made it law. He gave the order without knowing their plot. Let's look at Darius' character. At this part of the story, his character is missing something. He lacks something. Children, can you tell what is it? Darius lacked wisdom. If Darius had wisdom, he would have noticed the real truth behind this plan. He didn't think about the consequences of this unchangeable law. Later on, Daniel learned about this. He came to know about this plan. Daniel knew that the next time when he will got on his knees before his open window to ask God for divine guidance and continue blessing, the men who had plotted this thing would report him to the king. Daniel knew about this. He never changed his routine prayer. As usual, he opened the window facing Jerusalem and prayed 3 times daily. Dear children, if anyone prayed to God other than the king, will be thrown into lion's den. And Daniel was knowing about this law, but still he has never changed his routine prayer. He continued praying fiercely. Why? Because Daniel was having faith in God. He was knowing that he is worshipping the true living God. He was having faith in God that God is able to protect me. He didn't fear the lions, but he feared the true living God. So this is what we should learn from Daniel. Whatever may be the situation, we should not fear the situation, but we should fear God. We must always give prayer, we should always give God the first priority. After prayer, after God, all the rest of the things comes. We should always give first priority to God. Then God will definitely, He will honor you all. Let's see what happened next. As usual, this was the moment the prince were waiting for. Daniel was breaking the law. According to the signed decree, Daniel would be thrown to the lions. When the prince went to the king and demanded that Daniel be thrown to the lions, King Darius realized the cruel purpose of their law. This was no law to honor the king. It was an evil plot to get rid of Daniel. King Darius was very fond of Daniel. He considered Daniel a trustworthy friend, and he greatly relied on the judgment of this wise man. But the king was trapped. According to the law, Daniel must die. King Darius spent the day searching through the laws, hoping to find a way he could save his friend. But the law was clear. Once the king had signed the law, not even the king himself could undo what he had done. With the setting of the sun, the king was forced to command that Daniel be seized and taken to the place where the lions were kept. The animals were crazy with hunger, and whatever was thrown to them was instantly torn to pieces. The king told Daniel how sorry he was, how he had been trapped into doing these things, and how, according to the law of the Medes and the Persians, not even the king could revoke a royal decree. Daniel was thrown to the lions, and a great stone was brought and placed over the hole. And the seal of the king was placed over the covering, so that nobody can open it. The king returned to the palace with a very heavy heart. All night long, the king thought about Daniel and wondered if he would ever again hear the voice of his friend. Daniel must have known about the law, and yet Daniel continued to pray. Was it possible that God would save Daniel from the lions? Early in the morning, Darius king hurriedly dressed him, and he ran to the place where the lions were kept, and ordered the stone be taken. The stone was removed, and the king cried out, "Daniel, servant of living God, is your God able to deliver you from the lions?" And here comes a reply. "O king, live forever. My God has sent his angels and has shut the lion's mouth. They have not hurt me. God found me innocent before him and also before you, O king." The king was happy to hear the voice of Daniel, and he commanded that his friend be taken out of the lion's den at once. Then the king made a further command that the wicked prince, the men who had plotted against Daniel, be thrown to the lions in Daniel's place. And the king signed another law. This law said that all men were to tremble and fear God. The God of Daniel was the living God and lives forever. God's kingdom will not be destroyed or end. He rescues and he saves. He performs signs and wonders in the heavens and on the earth. He has rescued Daniel from the power of the lions. It is written in Daniel chapter 6 verse 26 verse 27. So dear children, through Daniel, the king Darius and all the people in his kingdom, they came to know about God. The same way, through us, many should know about God. We should have faith like that of Daniel. We should have faith like that of Shadrach, Meshach and Abednego. Whatever may be the situation, we should not tremble. We should not be afraid. We should always pray, no matter what. Daniel was knowing about the law, but still he never changed his routine prayer. He continued his routine prayer. He prayed thrice a day. So, dear children, I will encourage you to be like Daniel. You should always pray. As now this is a lockdown period, you should spend a lot of time with God. You should read Bible. You should spend time with God. God will give you the wisdom, understanding. He will give you the strength. He will give you the faith. He will increase your faith. So dear children, I hope you understood today's chapter. Thank you. Here are some questions. Number 1. Who was the Median Persian kings at the time of Daniel? 2. What was king's order? 3. What were the reasons for Daniel to be put in prison? 4. How did God save Daniel? So dear children, don't forget to read the Bible portion, that is Daniel 6, and do by heart the memory verse, that is Psalms 91 verse 13 and 14. Thank you.